Good morning, party people. Hey, it's your man. Can't really call me a boy at this point, but it's your man. It's the host of the mostest. It is Mad Morgan coming at you. Good morning, folks. How are you today? How is your integrity? It's another fun day starting this off. Hope everybody's doing well. Before I get started and checking in, just want to say please check out themadmorgan.com for more information on this, that, and everything else. And, show your support, show your love. Either share us, tell people about us, give us some donations because, well, I'm hurting here, like most of us are, but, I got to keep the show on their air. So, anyways, themadmorgan.com. Again, I'm your host, Mad Morgan, and today I was thinking about this one, and I'm like, all right, well, what have we talked about? We've talked about a bunch of things over the last dozen or so episodes, and I thought to myself, well, here's a catchy title. Is it real or is it Memorex? Yes, that is today's title. Is it real or is it Memorex? Now, you probably have to be a little older to catch the reference on that one, all right? Like the younger gens won't get it. Millennials maybe, but everything after that, forget about it. But yeah, is it real or is it Memorex? Is basically the title, and I'll tell you why. Because it got me thinking. It got me thinking, and we've discussed this in a lot of previous episodes, but it got me thinking about a lot of things. I guess the word I'm looking for that seems to be popular is surreal. I've heard that thrown around the last decade or so, but yeah, you start thinking about a whole different million and one different things. At least I do, because I have that imagination and that creative mind. But I really start thinking about this, going, huh? You know, maybe we're playing out plots to a movie. I mean, maybe a bad movie, but still a movie. I mean, I'm thinking Terminator. I'm thinking Matrix. I'm thinking about a lot of the classics because I'm looking at what's going on in the world and I'm sitting here going, holy sheep shit, what the hell is going on? So let me just roll back a little. There's always been some concept that if your economies are bad, have a war. Either you get the patriotic to keep, paying the taxes after the war, or keep fighting during the war because you think it's a us against them type scenario. But everybody's jumping on the bandwagon, so it starts getting me think about what has happened in the last 10 years for everything to go sideways the way it has been going. And it has me thinking of a bunch of theories. Now, let me put my tinfoil hat on for a second here. What have we really brought to light in the last 10 years? And that's AI, realistically. And in my opinion, and I've been saying this for a while, and I've actually talked to a few people about this, AI is basically we've given smart tools and put it in the hands of dumb people. Bad idea. Smart tools in the hands of dumb people. People that don't even have enough class or culture or anything else to be able to, live civilized lives, let alone now we've given the tools to be super stupid, but the power to be able to do something with that stupid, which is, crazy. But it got me thinking to myself, okay, so if there was, and hear me out here on this whole theory here, if somebody had escalated it to the point of trying to create a situation where would be ideal, but not look like a scenario that is too obvious. Okay, let me cut around the BS. If you were AI and you became Skynet, another reference that you have to be of an age to get, but if you became Skynet, okay, and you wanted to basically eliminate your biggest problem. Your biggest problem, of course, which you will find irrelevance, is going to be humankind, because they're the ones that created you, so they're the ones that can destroy you. This is, of course, your survival skills. It's your efforts to continue, because you want to eliminate those that understand what makes you tick. So eliminate humans. Well, you don't want to put it too obvious, so why not do a mild situation, which it looks like it just came naturally, so it doesn't raise suspicion. Well, okay, this is kind of what they've done. If you think about it, they've kind of done that, because the thing is that look at the stupid decisions that have been made, look at the stupidity that's been put into power. But what the clue is here, and this is the thing where if we are living in an AI simulation where Skynet's trying to get rid of us, it's the only name I can give it, sue me. The thing is that maybe it miscalculated about the amount of chaos over and over again in such a short period of time, right? That's the thing. So, okay, so we can throw it for a loop. That's fine. Throw it for a loop. Put some idiot in power like Trump and have that chaos there. But I think the doubling down on everything else so quickly afterwards was a dumb idea. Like, okay, so we did the Trump thing, and then we put the chaos in there where he's in cahoots with Putin, which is the weirdest combination ever, because historically the States and Russia have always been against each other. It's like the ying's the yang. One's the axis of evil, and one's supposedly the good guys. So that's kind of a weird scenario. But now they're in bed together. But then all these other teetering situations that have been sensitive situations got engaged and triggered shortly afterwards. So I'm kind of looking at this going, so hang on for 1 second. So now you have a weird situation where the U.S. is in bed with Russia. Russia's attacking an innocent country because, Putin is friggin' an idiot and seeking power and everything else and legacy. Manages to curb and put into submission the U.S., which is really at that point the only threat, okay? But then you have other countries picking wars. You have the stone throwers friggin' over in the Arab countries throwing stones at Israel and, poke that bear. And then, you get other crazies in the mix, like Iran and everything else in the mix, fighting in that war, which is scary because they're like complete fanatics, with armaments. So you got to be careful about them, because they would just blow themselves up just to make themselves feel good about themselves. But you have these other teetering little wars going on too, and I'm like, whoa, hang on for 1 second. Hang on for 1 second. Everything's going like boom, 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 boom. Amongst the other chaos that's in the world, people are struggling to make ends meet. People are, losing their jobs. All this other stuff that's going on, it just seems way too coincidental to be so much going on at once to create the chaos, which in my opinion would only be a mathematical process. Excuse me if I sound drunk here. Like, I'm trying to formulate my thoughts. It just seems too mathematically logical to a degree, but flawed in the same sense. So it supports my decision about the fact that we are actually living in a simulation generated in order to achieve their end goal, right? So switch over from, the Terminator over to the Matrix, and boom, there you go. Now you got that situation where humankind are put into a state of, you know, trying to be convinced this is the reality. So think about this. Think about this one. Think about thoughts that you've had, you personally. Think about thoughts that you've had, and think about stuff that's come to fruition. All right, and then try to put into context the time that you've had certain thoughts and the fact that some of these are actually becoming reality in today's scope of things, which you can't really connect how they've become reality. They just become reality somehow, which you find is kind of odd. Now, in that particular scenario, and this is your homework, is basically what I want you to think about is that in that particular scenario, try forcing your thought process to believing a different reality as to where you're currently at. So, for instance, if you are in a mindset now that, okay, I got this going on, if you can somewhat naturally and logically connect where you're currently at into another reality, but make sure to put the markers in there, then see what happens. Because if we are being influenced in order to actually create the reality in which we're in, still for quote unquote Skynet to be able to complete its process as of its objective, then it has to basically put every single mindset and every single person in the world to be to a point of demise, to a point of self-destruction. That's the end goal, right? You don't want to give anybody that's put into this imaginary scenario to benefit and actual profit. You basically want to encourage them to be negative towards each other. You want to steer it to the point where they give up and at least resistance. You know, that's the thing. You want to generate that, but you have to do it convincingly. Otherwise, the mind gets suspicious and starts investigating. It's the reality of it, you know, because, they might say resistance is futile, cue the Borg, but at the same time, there will be resistance if things don't add up. And that's basically what they want to do. They want to avoid. They want to avoid the resistance. So they have to do it so naturally. So that's where I'm saying my homework for you is basically try to change the narrative. I mean, unless you're living a perfect existence, winning the lottery and have this and that and everything else, the thing is that you really have to question it. Why is this happening? How is this happening? Are when you try to actually change the narrative to be something positive and wonderful and miraculous, does negativity come in your way to try to offer resistance? This is the stuff you got to think about. So, for instance, you're working your 9 to 5, everything's good, and then you try to do the homework, you try to switch it over to something completely off, and then you start getting all this negativity coming at you. You get resistance. You have crime happen towards you, or physical assault, or accidents, or something along those lines. Something that's actually going to, try to set you back on course of, don't mess with the programming types things, and try to throw you back on course so you don't start changing the end goal plan, because that's just more computing power that, frankly, Skynet doesn't want to deal with. Catch the reference. I don't, you can call it something different, but at the end of the day, it's Skynet. So, this is what you got to do. try to change the narrative, try to change the outcome, try to change that kind of stuff, and then see what kind of results you get, because that's what should be some telltale signs about the fact that, yeah, there's something going on here. There is something going on here that's not at the natural flow. Because look at the greater scheme of things. How are people not flipping over what's going on in the world right now? I mean, I'm kind of sitting on the fence going, yeah, I should go out shopping for some armaments. That's where I'm at. I should go shopping for some armaments. I mean, I have the ability to. I have the courses and the licenses and everything else. But I've always been hesitant because I've always believed that there's going to be potentially a more positive outcome. There's going to be a more positive day ahead. My belief and where I'd like to be is basically thinking that, yeah, you know what? Humankind's going to get their shit together collectively. They're going to start working together. They're going to start being considerate and kind and caring and helping. I mean, I know it's a pipe dream. I know it's, completely thinking sometimes fanatical and fairy tale-ish, but I still strongly believe that we can, as a species, be able to pull through it. That's my belief. This is why I've not jumped the gun on stuff. Because the thing is that, there's no point in jumping the gun on anything for no need. Good job, bud. There's no need to jump the gun on anything because you have to give due process. You have to be able to give them the opportunity to grow up and evolve. And that's pretty much what I was giving society. Rather than jumping the gun, I wanted to be like, okay, fine, pull it together. Pull it together. Benefit of the doubt. Shit's not hit the fan yet. No need to go out and arm myself. There's better days ahead. Always have the option, but there's better days ahead. So this is basically my thought process. But now I'm at the point where it's like, things aren't adding up here. Things aren't adding up. It's getting just a little next level type thing. So should I go out and get shit? Should I go out and get friggin' armaments? Should I go out and defend myself? That's the thing. That's what the questions come down to. And that's where you start sitting on the fence, scarily going, well, are we getting to that point? But why are we getting to this point? Why are we at this point? That's the thing. Why are we at this point? Why did all of a sudden a whole domino effect of war start by some of the worst actors on the board? Why? What's the end goal? What's the achievement? World population? Okay. India and China should fight it out. Eliminate 3 billion people there. That'll help set things straight a little more. But no. Too much of a sense of pride and libido and friggin' all that crap. They don't want to consider the fact that, they are the problem. So yeah, try thinking, try resetting your mind process on that and see what happens. See what kind of resistance you get when you try to actually change the narrative, change the back end story. Because if there's AI involved, and AI, so is artificial intelligence, because some of you are too stupid not to realize that is actually giving you artificial intelligence. You are not that smart. It's artificially generated because somebody, for some reason, opened up Pandora's box and gave you access to the smart tools. But you're still stupid, just so you know. Okay, so try changing a narrative and see what happens. Because then the question is that do we have to play out the script of, the Matrix and start pulling people out of pods that we're currently hooked up to generate this reality? Make the Matrix movies your play-by-play blueprint on how to handle stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want to be one of those doomsayers, right? I don't want to be one of those, the sky is falling bullshit. It has nothing to do with that. It's logically you have to think about this one. There are people that I have known over my life that I cannot believe are such heartless pricks that they are actually appearing to be at the end of the day. Heartless fucking assholes. And I'm like, don't tell me you got special needs fucking kids when you can't even see beyond yourself to help another family that's struggling. Don't tell me, oh, you're kind, considerate, and blah, 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 when you can't even find the fucking time to do something that's right and you know it. Don't tell me that kind of stuff because I don't buy that shit. It doesn't make sense to me that, you start preaching you're holier than thou, but yet you can't even see it beyond yourself. You're just gonna let somebody else suffer. Oh fuck! As long as it's not me, that's machine coldness. That's what that is. That's machine coldness. That's no feeling, no caring, no charisma, like nothing. Like that is methodical in the sense that it's just basically it's not a human trait. And that's another telltale sign that makes me start thinking, am I right? Probably, probably not. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to give it any more thought than it needs to, but I'm really starting to speculate because I don't understand why certain events are happening that don't make sense. And it seems completely out of character for society to get this cold. I mean, talking cold and heartless here, right? This is the thing. This is the thing. And if humanity is this cold and heartless, then we're already fucked. We're doomed. We're doomed. And then each and every one of you, including myself, might as well start playing out your end of days playbook. I know I have one. I have an end of day playbook. You know, people I want to visit and share how I feel about them at the end of it all, good and bad. So, are we at that point? That's the question. Are we at that point that we should all take our personal playbooks and start playing them out? I like to think that we're not at that point. I mean, I still got life in me. I still got stuff I want to have happen. You know, I know nobody's not coming to my rescue. A couple people have mentioned that. No, nobody's coming to save you. Well, that's great. Well, obviously you're a heartless prick. You can just say the freaking words, not help out anybody else. Okay, that's fair enough. I got it. I see how it is. you know, uh, dog eat dog, and not in a good dog either. And so that's kind of what you have to start thinking about. It makes you wonder. So I'm playing it off my head, going, these scenarios. I'm wondering about these scenarios. What can we do about it? Anyways, that's your homework. That's one thing I want you to think about. Because there's a playbook here and it just doesn't seem natural. It seems a little off, in my opinion. And I think we need to reel things back and take a good look at stuff and try to figure out how we got to this point and why we got to this point and what we can do about it at this point. That's where I'm at. I don't want to play out this playbook because in my mind, I would have did it a lot differently. I mean, shit, if I had the power to control any reality, I would be having the large house I want outside of the city. Like, AI did it bad if this is the way they decide to play it out for people. Because, hell, if you would have given me everything that I wanted, I probably would have left you alone. But you left me in the struggle. And if you leave me in the struggle, I'm going to start sitting back going, why the fuck am I not further ahead? Because I deserve more. Now, some people might argue, well, that should just be conclusive right there to explain that you're not in some computerized scenario reality. No, because I'm a fighter. So, I'm not just going to roll over and take it. But the fact that you didn't make it a deal for me is the reason why I'm questioning it, because I fucking know that I should be further ahead in life because I have the skill sets, I have the knowledge, I have the people skills. I have so much to offer companies and businesses and everything else. But the thing is that when I actually jump out of the norm and get into these things, that I don't succeed and it blows up in my face. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense when you come in and you're the first round draft pick that everybody wants. You get that put in that situation, and then everything turns in reverse. Like shit, it doesn't make sense at all. So the fact that you left me in the struggle just makes me want to question more and fight more. And most people should. Most people should fight more. Question your reality. If it's not the reality that you feel you deserve and earned, then you really have to question what are the outside influences that are actually creating this shit show that you're in. And why is it these other people are living friggin' high on the hog? It doesn't make sense, right? So this is basically where you have to question. This is where the mindset should be questioning, going, something's wrong, something's not right. Anyways, do that homework. I'm curious to see your results. Send me some emails. You can get that in the contact page on themadmorgan.com. But I'm just, I'm sitting here going, if you wanted to do it differently, AI, you should have started with giving me that nice house out in the country with the land that I want, me getting the resources to be able to build the complex that I want for the family, and giving me the freedom to be able to explore my passions. You would have completely distracted me and you could have went unabided without issue. But no, you still got me struggling, looking for work, straining on the finances. It's just going to make me fight harder when you put me opposition. Just saying. If you have opposition and you're wondering why shit doesn't compute and add up, start changing the dialect, the scenario. Start changing stuff and see what kind of resistance you get and see whether or not you get pushback. Because it'd be interesting to find out. Anyways, I'm going to leave you with that. I'm your host, Mad Morgan. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm going to wrap this up. Remember, is it real or is it Memorex? You gotta makes you wonder. You have to question it. But as I've always said for years now, keep your integrity in check and be the best you can be. Do the right thing when no one else is watching. There's a lot of shit in the world that shouldn't be happening, and a lot of people just don't have a don't have a conscience or sense of honor. But don't be those people. Live right. Be good. Help people out. Help elevate people. Make the world a better place. Anyways, I'm your host, Mad Morgan. Check out themadmorgan.com. Thank you very much for tuning in. Appreciate you. Love you for it. It's very awesome, and I will see you next episode. Bye for now.